Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, et merci d'être ici aujourd'hui. On March 29, the Transportation Safety Board of Canada will celebrate its 20th year as a leader in transportation safety. This milestone gives us the opportunity to take stock not only of our safety accomplishments, but more importantly, of the challenges that will mark the next 20 years in transportation safety. Today, the Transportation Safety Board launches its watch list. On the watch list are 9 critical safety issues that must be tackled to make Canada's transportation system safer. It will take a concerted effort by industry and government to tackle these tough issues. The Transportation Safety Board's watch list is a blueprint leading the way forward. I want to reassure Canadians that Canada has one of the safest transportation systems in the world. We have a very strong foundation. Even so, our economy requires, and Canadians expect, that we at the Transportation Safety Board work to make it even safer. Time and again, our investigators arrive at the scene of an accident and find the same old safety issues that pose the greatest risk to Canadians. These are the issues on our watch list. We will deal with each one in some detail, but in summary, they are: in marine, fishing vessel safety and emergency preparedness on ferries; in rail, passenger trains colliding with vehicles and the operation of longer, heavier trains; in aviation, the risk of runway collisions, controlled flight into terrain, plus aircraft running off the end of runways and other landing accidents. And more generally, we are highlighting safety management systems and data recorders. Today, we are calling for change. It is time for industry and government to step up and tackle these critical safety issues. For the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, there is no higher priority. To explain these 9 critical issues, I am joined today by Mr. Jonathan Seymour and Ms. Kathy Fox, 2 of my colleagues on the board with expertise in transportation. Mr. Seymour will begin by taking you through the marine and rail issues on the watch list. Mr. Seymour?
Thank you, Wendy. First up is marine, where we have 2 issues. Safety aboard fishing vessels is one of our top priorities for Transportation Safety Board. Yes, fishing can be risky. Canadians know this, they've been doing it for generations. But death shouldn't be the cost of a life spent at sea. Too often, roughly once a month over the last 5 years, it has been. Their families expect, and we insist, that more must be done. Every time the board investigates, we make conclusions about causes and contributing factors, but the challenges we face run throughout Canada's fishing industry. Systemic problems need systemic solutions. On fishing vessel safety, the Transportation Safety Board remains concerned about vessel modifications and their impact upon stability, the use and availability of life-saving equipment, regulatory oversight, the impact of fishery resource management plans and practices, and the lack of both a safety culture and a code of best practices. Now, both industry and government need to step up the pace and do more to promote safe operations and improve knowledge and training in this vital industry. The board's second marine issue involves the safety of Canada's ferries. Our ferries enjoy a good safety record. But the Transportation Safety Board is also mindful that tens of millions of passengers rely on them every year. There are over 100 passenger vessels above 500 gross tons operating in Canada, and roughly half of these can carry over 400 people at a time. At the board, we've learned the hard way that these vessels need to be better prepared for an emergency. If there is an accident, ferry operators need to know how many people are on board, and even better, where they are located on the ferry. And everyone is more likely to get off safely if crews have practiced realistic exercises. Moving on to rail issues, the Transportation Safety Board, we see all too many accidents at the thousands of railway crossings along Canada's busy corridors. 380 times in the last 15 years, on average once every 2 weeks, something has gone horribly wrong and a passenger train and a vehicle colliding. Moreover, we've come to understand that the most common assumption, driver error, is seldom the only factor involved. In many instances, drivers simply do not have enough warning, or the angle of the track and the sight lines make it impossible to see an oncoming train in time. No matter what the risk, it can and must be reduced. The board is convinced that the railways and Transport Canada need to take the time to figure out which level crossings pose the greatest risk. Then they need to take those essential steps to bring the number of collisions down. Another trend the board is tracking is a steady increase in the weight and length of trains. Since 1995, these have increased over 25%, and as our economy gears up to meet future demand, we expect them to become even bigger. Marshalling is the order in which freight trains are put together to make up a train, and longer, heavier trains have to be marshaled and operated with safety as the imperative. If you liken a long train to an accordion, pulling forces tend to separate cars, and pushing forces will compress them together. When lighter, empty cars are placed in the train without regard to these forces, the results can be a derailment. In general, Canada's rail industry shares the board's concerns, but we continue to see accidents, at least a dozen in the last decade. That is why the railways need to make sure that these risks to safety are always effectively managed. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. J'aimerais maintenant laisser la parole à Madame Cathy Fox, qui discutera des 4 prochains problèmes qui figurent sur la liste de surveillance du Bureau de la Sécurité des Transports du Canada. Elle vous parlera des problèmes rencontrés dans le transport aérien. De plus, elle discutera des systèmes de gestion de la sécurité et des mesures qui doivent être prises dans ce domaine pour les modes de transport maritime, ferroviaire et aérien.